everyone, and welcome back to Rocky Top Review, presented by CHI Memorial. We're here on Mix 104.1 and MixTV.tv, and we appreciate CHI Memorial very much. And don't forget Memorial Convenient Care Public Shopping Center, Polo Parkway, Cleveland. I'm joined, as always, by the band of merrymen that they are, Stephen Shelton, Jason Cox, Right Reverend, and Commissioner Josh UA Rogers. Gentlemen, how are you? And how are you?
I'm great. We're coming out beating the old Florida Gators, and so I had a week off to relax and soak in the victory. And Jason and I are now, we're all three. Well, Jason, Josh, and I are now, we got the Vols winning. We got the Braves back in the playoffs. Life's good.
Life is good. And Jason, how are you doing, Right Reverend?
Oh, man, I'm good. I'm good. I agree with Shelton. Hey, and listen, it's October. There's no better month in the year than October. Sports are wide open. The weather is fantastic. Yeah, it's good to be here.
What about it, Josh?
I had to renew my heart medicine, my blood pressure medicine on Sunday this past week. But other than that, Georgia snuck away with a win up in Missouri somehow, some way. And, the Braves are number one in the NL East, and life is perfect. So at least we got baseball still.
That's exactly right. Well, after defeating Florida 2 weeks ago, coming off a bye week, a healthy Tennessee team will face their biggest test yet. They'll challenge Jaden Daniels and the number 25 LSU Tigers. Tennessee goes into the matchup with a record of 4-0, ranked number 8 in the Associated Press poll. Their two most notable victories been at home against Florida and, of course, at Pitt. But a win today on the road in Death Valley would set the stage for an explosive showdown on the third weekend in October. And with that, we officially welcome you to Rocky Top Review. Shelton?
Does anybody realize when I write this opening, I want him to sound like Keith Jackson every single time? I mean, this is, it is. I mean, this is a huge week, for Tennessee. But we can go back and talk about Florida all you want. We're not the number 8 team in the nation. Let me go ahead and get that out of the way now.
Overrated.
Yes, Arkansas was the most overrated team in the nation. I said that. They've proved to be, though. Tennessee is now the most overranked team in the nation. They are much better, but you cannot allow 450 yards in the air to a poorly coached Florida team, and your secondary has to be able to tackle. But, again, Tennessee's a top 15 possibly. They're not number 8 in the nation.
Wow, and just let me go on record, Reverend Cox, Shelton, Josh.
Here we go.
The three of you picked Florida. Now, two of the three of you, Roger's big Georgia fans, who cares? But I was the only one in this room who stuck with the Volunteers. How about it, Jason?
We were just trying to undo the curse. That's all that was. We had faith in our Vols, but we knew that if we picked them, they were going to lose. So we all just went in and said, Florida's going to win. What a great win. As a Vol fan, just very few times over the past 20 years have we got to celebrate on that day. So great day. Fun to be a Tennessee Vol that day. Josh Rogers, what about you?
Here's the thing is that I truly did think Florida had a chance. I mean, I really did. These guys picked Florida because they could have come in the next week after Tennessee lost and be like, I told you guys so. I told you guys so.
No. I took Florida by 4. I took Florida by 4.
Or they come in the week after today and they're like, man, Tennessee just beat Florida and I'm so thankful we were wrong. So either way, they're in high spirits. But hey, you said Tennessee's the most overranked team. They're not 8th, right? Here are the undefeated teams in the top 25, okay, from Tennessee down. So you have Tennessee, Ole Miss, Penn State, TCU, UCLA, Kansas, and Syracuse. So when you look at that matchup of where Tennessee should rank, Ole Miss, big win against Kentucky last week. Probably could have jumped Tennessee. Ole Miss has a little bit stronger schedule so far, but they are ranked right behind Tennessee at 9. Tennessee with that bye week with the bye week last week, were able to kind of they didn't play anybody, so they were able to kind of stay even, right? So if you look at it, Tennessee's better than TCU. Tennessee's better than UCLA. I think Tennessee is better than Penn State at this point in time, and they're better than Kansas and they're better than Syracuse. So as an undefeated team going into this week, we'll see what the test goes with going to LSU. But right now, Tennessee fans should be very happy being ranked 8th, and I think they are. And I think that comment that you made, Shelton, that they're not ranked 8th, they're not this. I think that's just some hurt and some deep emotional feelings from the past 10 years of being hurt by these Vols.
What are you, Dr. Phil?
What is
wrong with you?
But
he's smoking jacket out in your
No,
truck.
I agree with it. He's not wrong.
But this year is Tennessee's year. I mean, this is the year where they could go and they could beat Georgia. They could go and they could play a well game against Alabama. They could make it.
What you did in reverse.
Exactly.
They
Such
have
reverse psychology.
They have an
Incredible.
opportunity to continue to play well, win the games that they need to, and continue to move up in these rankings. Georgia last week, after watching them play against Mizzou, they are not good. Like we talked a few weeks ago about Georgia being the best team, and it's Georgia, and then a little space, and then Alabama, and then a space, and then everyone else. That's not the case. Like I as a Georgia fan, I ought to be. I wish I could get an NI deal from Budweiser from last week after watching that game
Can
because
we say this?
I don't know. I saw Ross, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But
I saw
last week's game proved to me that the East is wide open. And with Kentucky losing to Ole Miss, Tennessee's got a great chance this year to win the East.
I know it's Jason's turn, but last time we were on the air together, the last time we were on the I said Tennessee wins this game, they got a chance to win the East, and I got ridiculed by this guy right here.
That's
now, 14 days later, and it's like, oh, Tennessee's got a chance to win the East. I really think so. My Bulldogs have played bad 2 weeks in a row, and Jason, go ahead. I'm sorry.
See, I think Dr. Phil over here, I do think he's onto something. I mean, there is the thing called battered Vols syndrome, which is what I have, and I truly believe Florida was going to win that game. I did. And it's just year after year after year of getting your hopes up. 2016, we beat Florida, we beat Georgia on the Hail Mary, and then we lose to South Carolina and Vanderbilt.
No, I totally understand.
Years of that will just do it to you, and that's where I'm at. Going on the road to LSU, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's about those offensive efficiency numbers, though. Can we keep being that efficient? Because we're going to be tough to beat if so.
Tennessee ranked 8th, 4-0 start. They've beat Florida. They've played really great football so far. What does Tennessee have to do the rest of the year to get that battered Vols syndrome away for you? Like what? I mean, they're ranked 8th in the nation. I mean, so do they have to win a national championship to get it back? Do they have to go to the SEC championship?
And here's the thing.
What do they have to do?
They've beaten 2 quality opponents in Pitt and Florida. Quality, no doubt. We've got to play some defense. We've got to shore up that back end of that defense. And until we do that, I mean, we Georgia and Alabama are going to stop us on offense some. Well, we may not stop either one of those teams the whole day. Yeah. And so until we can shore that back end up, and I don't think the answer is on the roster. I don't think the answer will happen this year because it's just it's an X's and O's. It's not X's and O's. It's a Jimmy's and Joe's deal. So that's for me. I'm going to be leery of this weekend. I'm going to be leery of the South Carolina game, the Kentucky game, and I'm not going to pick us against Alabama or Georgia. So.
All right, it is Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. And get serious just for a second. Stephen, earlier today as we tape on Thursday, the newest fire truck in the Bradley County Fire Fleet was dedicated and named after your dad, Philip Shelton, a more than 40-year fireman with Bradley County.
Yeah, I mean, what an honor. I mean, when Chief Fairbanks called me about a year ago and said, hey, this is what we want to do. I never dreamed that, get a new fire truck. I've seen them my whole life. I grew up in the fire department. I never dreamed it was going to be a mobile home on wheels. I mean, this thing, are you kidding? I mean, this thing has got room for, you could sleep 10 in here. Yeah. So, but no, it's what a true honor. I mean, my dad spent his whole life at the Charleston Volunteer Fire Department, Bradley County Rescue, actually Calhoun Volunteer Fire Department. If you could find my dad in 2 places growing up, 3 places, Bowater, the fire department, or home. That's all he ever went to. And so, he had Parkinson's now for over 25 years. And, but his love, you saw it today, the smile on his face, can't really communicate as well as he once did. But his smile on his face said everything. And he was so excited. And got to see a lot of people we'd not seen before. Almost 100 folks shows up, and this was just a 2-day notice, and over 100 people show up on fall break. I just thought, again, could not be more appreciative to Chief Fairbanks and the entire Bradley County government.
Josh, you were there. What do you make of it?
I was. It was a beautiful day and a beautiful celebration, and very thankful to the commission that was before me getting on there, allocating those funds from the American Rescue Plan to sit there and see that there was a need for a large ladder truck and a large fire truck in Bradley County. With the industry that we have, the businesses that we continue to bring in here, to be able to have something of that capacity added to our fleet, with honestly the best firefighters in the nation here in Bradley County. And for it to be named after Shelton's dad, captain of the fire department for many, many years, hearing all those guys and seeing all those guys today, just how much they love him, but more than just love, how much they respect him. He trained most of the guys that are on that Bradley County Fire Department, probably on the Cleveland Fire Department, Charleston, and everywhere else, all over the Southeast for all these years. And I'm happy for Captain Shelton and the entire Shelton family, and happy for this man right here, and for what it means to him. Shelton and I talked last night. We all three talked the previous night, and he said, growing up, he would always hear his dad leave the house every single night, running out on fire calls and going here and going there, and kind of the culmination of a lifelong career at the fire department, to have that name on the side of the truck is more than just a name. It's it means something, and I'm happy for the family. I'm happy for him, and happy for our fire department to be able to have such a great asset in their fleet now, and it's going to be a big deal going forward.
Greg Phillips, a very poignant comment, very emotional, when he said that they named the fire truck for Captain Shelton, but when they name something for Stephen Shelton, it will be a jail cell. And I thought that was good. We got to take a break. Hey, when we come back, more Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial, Mix 1041, MixTV.tv. Welcome back, everyone. We're counting down to a noon kickoff as Tennessee will be at LSU at Death Valley here, Mix 1041. Looking forward to that. It's time to pick games around the SEC. Arkansas goes to number 23, Mississippi State. That also a noon game on SEC Network, Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville. The Hogs a few inches away from beating A&M. Texas A&M, late missed kick did them in. And they had Alabama in big trouble for the fourth quarter. Went the wrong way in a big 49-26 loss. However, Arkansas may be without their quarterback, K.J. Jefferson. The Razorbacks will lean on the SEC's leading rusher, Raheem Morris, to carry the load, while Mississippi State will depend on their gunslinger and the league's leading passer and sophomore, Will Rogers, who's thrown for 1,715 yards, 18 touchdowns in the SEC West. Showdown, Shelton, what do you make?
Well, I think this is a great game. I told you guys 3 weeks ago Arkansas wasn't that good. And defensively, they're not. Now, they're still big up front. Again, they almost beat Texas A&M. They had one doink off the goalpost. I think that would have put Jimbo even in a hotter seat if they win that game. But I tell you, Mississippi State, I just can't believe in Mississippi State. It's something about the whole Pirate, and I know Jason's going to do his impression. It's going to be great. But I think Arkansas bounces back this week and steals one from Mississippi State in Cowtown.
Whoa, how about it, Jason?
I don't like the matchup for Arkansas. I think they're hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, but with K.J. Jefferson being in question, I'm going to go with the Pirate on this one. I just think that Mike Leach and the boys come out, they're going to score a whole bunch of points. If K.J. Jefferson doesn't play, I don't think Arkansas can hang with them at all. So I'm going to take Mississippi State in this one.
What about it, Dr. Phil?
So listen, Arkansas's defense is not great. They're giving up about 30.6 points per game. Mississippi State giving up 21 points a game. And so with that being said, and points per game offensively, they average about the same offensively. But Will Rogers, I mean, he has become a gunslinger this year. I mean, this game I think will be a high-scoring game. I don't think it will be a low-scoring game. But I think Mississippi State wins at home, and I think that game is going to be – it will tail away from Arkansas there at the end of the game, but Mississippi State wins by a touchdown and a field goal, 10 points over Arkansas this week.
All right, guys, it's South Carolina at Kentucky, number 13 Kentucky Wildcats tonight. Primetime game, 7:30, SEC Network at Kroger Field in Lexington. Well, the Kentucky Wildcats have had several days to recover from their painstaking 3-point loss to Lane and the Rebels of Ole Miss last week. Back to the friendly confines of Kroger Field for that SEC East showdown with the South Carolina Gamecocks under the lights in Lexington. Kentucky will look to get back to their winning ways, but they may have to do so with star running back, how do you say it, Shelton? Cavase Smoke?
Close enough.
Amen. Oh, that's best name, by the way, name of the day. We need to come up with that feature. Was shaken up after taking a shot at the helmet last week in Oxford. Reverend Cox, what do you make of it?
Well, here's what you didn't say is Will Levis, Kentucky's quarterback, is likely out as well. He's iffy at best. Here's the thing about Smoke. He's a good running back, but he is not Chris Rodriguez, who is back now, who is their league dog. He was on like a 4-game suspension for who knows what. I just think Kentucky probably turns around, hands the ball off all game long, and they run away from South Carolina.
Offensively, Kentucky really hasn't been running the ball that much. I mean, they average about 80 to 100 yards per game. For me, the big thing is last week Kentucky went down to Ole Miss and got thoroughly embarrassed in that game. And them coming home, Kroger Field, 7:30 kickoff, going to be a little chilly up there. A lot different than Columbia, a lot colder. One of the coldest places you can play. I think Kentucky runs the ball and throws the ball all over the field and beats South Carolina handily in this game.
What about it, Sheldon?
Oh, yeah, listen, I don't know why I've got such a distaste for South Carolina football, but I have. Yeah, I think Beamer ball is about to run its course, and Kentucky, I think they get their 5th win and get back on track. And Spencer Rattler goes from being the most sought-after quarterback in the nation to throwing 7 interceptions in SEC in 5 games. So I guess it's a little different than playing in the Big 12.
All right, let's move on now. Auburn goes between the hedges in the 3:30 slot. Auburn at number 2, Georgia, at Sanford Stadium on CBS in Athens. It's the 127th renewal of the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Georgia hosting Auburn, the Tigers, on Saturday afternoon at Sanford Stadium. Auburn coming in the game having suffered a heartbreaking loss to LSU, 21-17, while Georgia had to score 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns and then ran out the clock to avoid what would have been the biggest college football upset of the season at Missouri. We'll start with the head dog himself.
Start with someone else.
Wow.
Because I want to hear. I want to hear what.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear what you clowns have to say.
Oh, God.
All right. Shelton, over to you.
Guy gets elected. Gets elected.
Dr. Phil needs to listen to his own medicine.
Yeah, boy. Georgia's not played well the last 2 weeks. I think they're going through the motions. I think they're the best team in the nation, bar none. I think it's hard sometimes as a coach to keep young men to ages 18 to 22 focused when you're expected to win, as Georgia is. And so I think Georgia will play great this game. This is a rivalry game. I think Georgia wins by 3 touchdowns and gets back on track. And you'll see they are the best team in the nation at this point in the season. So give them the dogs.
Pastor, forgive me, I've sinned. You're not a clown. They are. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
I appreciate that, and I agree with you. This is the classic get well game. Okay, Georgia's coming back home to the hedges. The storyline is Auburn, though. It's Brian Harsin. They're so ready to fire that guy. But what if they pull the upset? What if they beat Georgia, which is not going to happen, and I'm not picking it. But here's what's happening with Auburn Nation, okay? They want their team to lose and lose badly this week because they expect them to fire him after the game. Well, what if it's close? So that's what I'm going to be watching. Georgia wins this game. They win it big time, and Harsin gets fired after the game. They leave him on the tarmac.
Auburn's team and program right now is in complete shambles. Georgia, offensively and really defensively, have not played well the past 2 weeks. I'm concerned with Georgia football right now. When programs are in shambles and programs have nothing to lose, they play well. Thankfully, they haven't fired Harsin yet, because usually when they fire the coach, that's when they go on a winning streak and they start winning.
Just let it out, man. Let it out.
I'm taking the Dogs, but I'm taking it close.
Oh, come on.
Unfortunately, I'm taking it very close.
Look, we saw this all the time in the 90s with our beloved Tennessee Volunteers. I mean, I was hearing scores the other day. We beat Memphis 17-16 Peyton Manning's senior year. I mean, we did it all the time because you just sleepwalk through so many games.
Yeah, well, can't sleepwalk against this one.
Kind of like you're, Josh, sleepwalking through this show today, actually. All right. Okay. Texas A&M at number 1, Alabama. 8 o'clock. So CBS, just boys and girls, a little shop talk here, Sheldon. CBS gets one primetime game a year. They get to pick that. They pick A&M and Alabama. I guess that looked good before the season.
I'm sure that's when they took it, because they didn't
They
take
had
it.
to.
They didn't take it in the last couple of weeks.
Jimbo Fisher, and they'll bring his money trucks north to Tuscaloosa. Got good riding this week.
Thank you.
To face off against his old friend Nicholas Saban in what should be a nice time between family and friends. That's pretty funny, Joel. As the Aggies attempt to knock off the Crimson Tide under the lights of Bryant Denny, 8 o'clock CBS. Shelton, we'll start with you.
Oh, boy. This one should be fun. Jimbo Fisher's coaching for his job. They are getting restless. You're 4 points away from losing to Auburn. You should have lost to Arkansas. I mean, literally, if you think about it, they're 1-4. I mean, they're within a handful of points of being 1-4. They want to blame it on youth. I'm going to blame it on discipline. They're one of the most penalized teams in the nation. But Alabama, I think, is going to – Nick Saban's got a – I don't think he's going to let up on this one. I think Bama rolls big time.
What about it, Josh? Over to you.
So earlier in the year, there was a little bit of hatred going on between Jimbo and Saban when it comes to NIL deals, paying money to players, taking players away. And this year has proved that you can go out and break the bank and pay people to come and play, but that doesn't mean you'll always win. Texas A&M, they lost to App State, which they really shouldn't have. I mean, let's call it what it is, but you win a game, you lose a game. Lost to Mississippi State. Probably shouldn't have lost that one, but they did. Alabama, 5-0, number 1 in the nation. Very, very close to losing to Texas. Very close. They beat Arkansas because they blew them out in the fourth quarter, but there was a point in that Arkansas game where it looked like that tide could have turned the other way. Texas A&M coming into Bryant Denny.
No.
For the first time this year, give me the Aggies in the upset over Alabama.
What?
Wow.
Reverend Cox.
Hey, listen, Jimbo Fisher's buyout is $88 million.
And that's why he's going to win.
That's crazy. But here's the thing. Texas A&M doesn't have a quarterback. They don't have an offense. That is not the recipe that's ever beat a Nick Saban team. Jahmyr Gibbs, a transfer from Georgia Tech, from Alabama, had 2 long runs, set like 76 yards and 74 yards last week. He's beginning to assert himself behind that dominant offensive line. And Alabama's beginning to look like Alabama. Alabama rolls and really, really puts some pressure on those Texas A&M boosters.
All right, back with a final segment and picks for it'll be Tennessee at LSU up next. And And welcome back, everybody. A final segment of Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. Well, here we go. The Volunteers have started 4-0, the big win over Florida, going into a bye week a couple weeks ago. It's Tennessee at LSU. Tennessee number 8, LSU number 25, noon today right here. Mix 104.1 and ESPN Television. Tigers Stadium, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As much as can be, they've rested. Tennessee had time to prepare. Now go against that LSU team. Been on a bit of a rough run. Tigers playing well, but Auburn was tough. Mississippi State tough. Now they got to get ready for a passing attack sufficient as any in college football. Hendon Hooker has not thrown an interception. Doesn't have to force much thanks to a ground game that hit the 200-yard mark against everyone the Volunteers have faced except Pitt. It's the Vols and Tigers in Death Valley. Josh Rogers.
Death Valley, one place you don't ever want to play a college football game at night.
At night. There we go.
But this game is at 11 a.m. Central. 11 a.m.
Yes.
That right there might be the thing that can turn this game into a big, big game.
Not cutting you off, but great point. The last time the Vols played at 11 was at Auburn. And they went down there, and Butch Jones upset a ranked Tigers team. So I'm just saying you're right on the point there because 11 o'clock is a totally different atmosphere than 8 o'clock at night.
What I was going to say is 11 a.m. start. Those fans down in Baton Rouge like to party, and they like to party hard. And it's hard to party between 6 a.m. and 11 and be able to come up and show up for a game. Now that it's being the 8th-ranked team in the nation against Tennessee, I think they'll show up. But a whole lot different than a night game. Give me the Tennessee Vols to win in Death Valley.
Reverend Cox.
Let's talk about LSU for a minute. Jaden Daniels, transfer quarterback from Arizona State University, is their leading rusher. Okay, he's also injured. I expect Tennessee's defense, bad as they are, I expect their game plan to look more like the Pittsburgh game than the Florida game. The Florida game, we tried to keep Richardson in front of us. We didn't necessarily try to go after him the whole game. We didn't want him getting loose. I expect them to turn those horses loose to try to get to Jaden Daniels. He's going to break a few runs. He's going to get some first downs, but we're also going to sack him on third down several times. I think that, along with Hendon Hooker, with the keys to the Ferrari of that offense, and just being so efficient, so careful with the ball, I think Tennessee wins this one. But we're still going to be watching it in the fourth quarter because it's going to be close.
Shelton, you will be in Baton Rouge.
I will be in Baton Rouge. Here's the deal with LSU. This will be the best team Tennessee's played all year because how long and athletic they are. They're not very good in the secondary, which bodes well for the Vols. However, I think they're more athletic. I think they do a better job defensively than Tennessee does. I've got a bad feeling about this one. I think Brian Kelly's got them playing pretty well. I think they're starting to believe in what he's selling. I think Tennessee goes down there and they pick up their first loss of the year. I think LSU 28-24.
UT wins on the road, but here's the what we've heard the most of is, Steve, when are we starting the Ivy League picks? All right, I just need one word. Harvard will play Cornell. You know what? They've already played. Let's go to this. Dartmouth at Yale. Just one word. Rogers?
Yale, because they're the Bulldogs.
One word.
That's a lot more than one. Reverend?
Why?
MCA. Shelton?
Yale.
That's it. Have a great time, everybody. Kickoff at noon. Let's go to the Vol Network. Mix 104.1. Back with Bob Kessling.